If you grew up in America, chances are one of these toys was sitting somewhere in your house or a friend's. When we walk into a toy store, we assume every product on the shelf has been tested and approved for children. That's the comforting illusion. But behind major marketing campaigns, corporations have repeatedly released toys with dangerous design flaws. Toys that could trap hands, cause permanent physical damage, or expose toddlers to hidden toxins. Today, we open the archives of the most notorious banned toys and look at the details the manufacturers desperately tried to hide. We begin in 1996. The Cabbage Patch Kids were already a global phenomenon, but Mattel wanted to push the boundaries of realism. They introduced the Snacktime Kids, a new version of the doll designed to interactively eat plastic food accessories. To the public, it was a clever step forward in toy engineering. But beneath that soft vinyl face lay a powerful mechanical motor. And the design had one major flaw. There was no off switch and absolutely no emergency stop button. Once something touched the doll's mouth, the rollers inside kept pulling. It didn't take long for the doll to mistake real children for plastic snacks. If a child's finger or long hair got too close to the mouth, the mechanism just kept going. In one case, a 3-year-old girl's hair became caught in the jaws. The motor kept spinning, and her parents couldn't stop it. It removed a patch of hair from her scalp before they finally managed to rip the batteries out of the doll's back. Following widespread public backlash, the toy was discontinued just 4 months after its release. Mattel was forced to offer a $40 refund to anyone willing to send the doll back. What was marketed as a special feature ultimately became a lesson in corporate oversight. It was a simple mechanical failure. But the next entry on our list shows what happens when a company notices a severe safety hazard and decides to fix it with a piece of cheap plastic. For decades, the Easy Bake Oven was an American household staple. The classic 1963 model used a side-loading slot heated safely by a simple light bulb. And for years, the design worked without major controversy. But in 2006, Hasbro decided to modernize the toy, making it look like a real front-loading kitchen oven. To make it feel authentic, they made the front opening larger. And instead of a gentle light bulb, they upgraded the internal heating element to generate extreme temperatures inside. Almost immediately, reports started coming in. Children were reaching inside the front door, and because of a lip in the interior design, their hands became wedged tight against the hot plastic. Hasbro's initial solution wasn't a recall. Instead, they mailed out cheap plastic guards for parents to install, hoping to block the gap. It was a temporary fix for a much larger problem. The plastic guards failed. Reports of injuries continued to rise, eventually totaling 278 cases of trapped hands and 82 reported burns. The tipping point came when a 5-year-old girl suffered burns so severe that doctors had to amputate the tip of her finger. Only then did Hasbro issue a recall for over 1 million units. When the oven eventually returned to store shelves, the front-loading door was gone. They silently went back to the original 1963 side-loading slot. A mechanical flaw can be redesigned. But when a toy poses an invisible danger, the threat becomes much harder to detect. In 2007, hospitals across the United States and Australia began admitting young children showing identical, baffling symptoms: sudden unconsciousness, vomiting, and severe respiratory distress. The common link was a popular craft toy called Aqua Dots, and at the time, the product was a massive international hit. Children arranged colorful beads into patterns, sprayed them with water, and the beads fused together without any heat or glue. It was marketed worldwide as a safe, mess-free activity and had just won the Australian Toy of the Year award. But investigators soon discovered the real danger had nothing to do with the toy itself. To cut production costs, a manufacturing facility in China had secretly substituted the toy's non-toxic adhesive with a cheaper industrial chemical. Inside the body, this chemical was converted into GHB, a powerful sedative associated with drug overdoses. Millions of families had unknowingly brought a toxic sedative, disguised as a craft toy, directly into their children's playrooms. The product was pulled from shelves immediately, but it left a chilling reminder of how quickly corporate cost-cutting can compromise human safety.
Yet, as bad as chemical substitution is, it still doesn't compare to the era where the hazard wasn't a corporate mistake. It was the selling point. In 1950, America was entering the atomic age. Nuclear science was viewed with immense public optimism, and the A.C. Gilbert Company decided to cash in on the trend. They released the Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Lab. This wasn't a standard chemistry set with plastic props. It came with a real Geiger counter, a cloud chamber, and 4 samples of actual, genuine radioactive uranium ore. Children were encouraged to handle the samples and watch real nuclear reactions take place right at home. Today, this is widely considered one of the most hazardous commercial products ever sold to children. But the real story isn't the radiation itself. It's why the toy disappeared. You might think the government stepped in out of concern for public health and banned it. The truth is much more mundane. The toy was never banned by regulators. It was simply a commercial failure. It cost $49.50 at the time, which, adjusting for inflation, is around $650 today. Because of that massive price tag, it sold poorly, with only about 5,000 units purchased before being quietly discontinued. The only reason a generation of American children wasn't exposed to raw radiation in their living rooms wasn't due to corporate ethics or government regulations. It was simply because the price tag was too high. In other words, cost protected children long before regulation ever did. Not safety, just economics.